The business is moving, diary full, new hires, new initiatives, and many conversations about new directions. From the outside, it looks like growth, but the revenue line isn't moving in proportion to the effort. Decisions are taking longer and your team is busier than ever and less clear than they were this time last year. Now that gap isn't a phase, it's direction. And underneath all that activity, there's something that's being avoided. Not the market, not the team, not even the timing, but the way the business is being built and who's building it that way. Inside, the business doesn't feel wrong. It feels responsible, careful, like you're doing what a founder does, responding, refining, staying across everything that truly matters. There's always something to respond to, always something that could be improved, always a decision that needs a bit more before it's ready. Nothing looks obviously broken, but the cost doesn't always show up all at once. It shows up as a drift. Timelines stretch. Conversations loop back to where they started. Work expands without actually moving anything forward. And the longer it runs, the harder it becomes to step back from. Because stepping back would mean admitting that something isn't working. So you stay inside it. And the business slows down without ever quite feeling like it has. Now, what makes this nearly impossible to see is that the world around you doesn't just allow it, it rewards it. Activity looks like commitment. A full diary looks like leadership. Complexity looks like sophistication. And growing a list of initiatives looks like ambition. Nobody looks at a founder running flat out in 12 different directions and says, this might be a problem. If anything, it gets reinforced. More thinking is better thinking. More structure is stronger leadership. More options mean you're not closing things off prematurely. The behavior never gets interrupted because this behavior never looks wrong from the outside, which means the only person who can see it is the person doing it, and they're too busy doing it to look. The first is complexity standing in for a decision. You see, every time a decision is hard, every time the answer might mean closing something down, admitting a bet isn't working, making a call that can be wrong, complexity absorbs it. Another layer gets added, another conversation gets opened. The decision doesn't get made, it gets insulated. The second is a new initiative as an exit for accountability. When the current thing isn't producing, the new thing feels like relief. It's unproven, which means it hasn't failed yet. Moving towards it means not sitting with the question of why the last one stalled. It looks like ambition. It operates like avoidance. The third is addition of proof. This one is hard to say plainly. Some of what gets added isn't added because the business needs it. It's added because you need to feel like the business is moving, the new hire, the new direction, the new product line. They're evidence to yourself that you're still building, still the person who built this. And when that's the mechanism, the complexity isn't the side effect, it's the point. Here's where it becomes personal. Your identity as a founder or as a senior leader is built around building. The psychological contract you made with yourself when you started is that your job is to grow things, to see opportunity and move towards it, to be the person who adds, who creates, who expands the possible. Now that's real, and it's also at a certain stage a trap, because the instinct that built what you have, the basis for action, the appetite for more, the discomfort for standing still, those are exactly the wrong instincts for the stage where you need to consolidate, to simplify, to remove what isn't working and put everything behind what is. And if your entire sense of yourself is tied to motion and addition, then stopping, simplifying, saying no, going deeper on fewer things, all of it will feel like a retreat, not a strategic adjustment. something closer to failure. That thought most founders don't finish, because finishing it means accepting that the way you've always operated, the way you built everything you're proud of, might be the ceiling, not a phase, the ceiling built by you from the inside. Now, this is the reframe. Growth and addition are not the same thing. You've been measuring one with the other, and that measurement is broken. Real growth, the kind that compounds, the kind that builds something with actual structural integrity, comes from doing fewer things with more commitment, from making the decisions that have been deferred, from removing complexity that exists to protect ego rather than create value. The businesses that break through don't do it by adding, they do it by subtracting until the real engine is visible. And then they put everything behind it. That's not a retreat, that's clarity. And a founder with clarity moves at a speed that a founder managing complexity cannot match. The lever isn't more, the lever is less of what's in the way. If this is the kind of thinking you want more of, subscribe. This is what this channel is for. And if you're ready to look at what's actually limiting your business, I work with founders and leaders on a one-to-one basis through my Empowered Entrepreneur program. Click the link in the description. What changes when this lands is quieter than you'd expect. The noise drops. Not because there's less to do, because there's less that needs to be carried. Decisions move faster, not because there's less to think about, because the thinking is no longer designed to delay. The team gets clearer because you're clearer, and something that's been buried under the activity becomes visible again. The actual engine, the thing that was working properly working before everything else was built around it. That's what it feels like to operate without this particular ceiling. Not easier necessarily, sharper, more honest, less like managing a business and more like building one. The practice is simple. Not easy, but simple. Learn to read addition as a signal. Every time you feel the pull towards something new, a new hire, a new strategy, a new direction, pause before you move. Not to stop the instinct, to ask one honest question. Is this moving the business forward? Or is this moving me away from making a decision I don't want to make? Most of the time, you'll know the answer before you finish asking, because it's usually already there. You've known for a while. The addition is just how you avoid sitting with what you know. Founders who build something that lasts are not the ones with the most ideas or the most options. They're the ones who've learned to tell the difference between momentum and motion, between building and busying. That distinction held consistently changes what you build, what you keep, what you let go of, and how quickly. Over time, it changes the kind of leader you are, not because the ambition changed, because you got sharper. If you stripped away everything you've added in the last 12 months, what would still work? If you haven't subscribed already, this channel is for founders who want to think more clearly about how they're building their business. And if it landed, like the video, it helps more people find it. I'll see you next time.